Hi everyone, welcome back to the Social Media Derby. We're back with another episode reviewing game week 26. But before we get into the pod, for those watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, share if you can. For those listening on Spotify, Apple, or any of the other podcasting platforms, please follow, give us a 5-star review. All that stuff helps grow the pod and, algorithm and all that. And of course, the views expressed in this podcast are just for entertainment purposes. They do not reflect our real opinions unless football related. We've got a great episode this week. Brentford Arsenal yesterday night, 1-1. West Ham United, 1-1. Chelsea Leeds, 2-2. And then Sunderland Liverpool, the only team on the pod with a dub this game week, broke Sunderland's home record with a 1-0 win. But we'll get into it. How are you, man, doing? Khem, how you doing, bro? You're the only one with the 3-point collectors this week. How are you feeling?
Feels the same as the draws and the L's we catch, bro. Still the same.
Man's just given up. Jonty, how you doing, bro? What did you make of the Brentford Arsenal game? Lightly before we get into it.
I didn't actually watch it, but was going through the emotions as I was looking at VOTMob on my phone. So, yeah.
We're going to get top-class analysis from you then on this ep. Razor, what are you saying, bro? Good week apart from the Brentford-Arsenal game?
Free me from stinky takes of other Arsenal fans.
Oh, is this an Arsenal fan on the pod who may not be attending right now, or are we talking wider pool? Sorry, you cut out for me, bro. I didn't hear the name, but we'll get into it then. We'll kick off then with the stinky game then, shall we? Or the most recent stinky game, because United's game wasn't much better and Chelsea's was quite funny to watch. But yeah, Brentford won, Arsenal won. Noni Madueke with a header. I feel like that's a collector's item. I don't remember too many headers coming from him, but it was a good one. And then, yeah, again, another header. Lewis Potter got the equaliser. And yeah, a bit of a basketball ending to the game. Both teams had lots of chances. Kelleher makes a big save from Martinelli right at the death. Igor Thiago has a bunch of chances as well. Raya makes a couple of big saves and it ends 1-1. So City have cut the lead now from 6 points to 4 points. We'll carry on with you, Razor. What did you make of the game? And what did you make of the result? Do you think it's a good point, or do you feel angry that you didn't get the 3?
In terms of what I made of the game, I was a bit disappointed in terms of just like how we performed. But ultimately, I do think it's a decent result. Like Brentford are not the kind of side that you just expect to like roll over, despite what my prediction said. Like the G-Tech's a difficult place to play. They're in a good run of form. I think they're like before, like in terms of like overall, like they're one of the most informed teams in the division or whatever that means. So, and they've got a striker and a forward who, everyone's been singing the praises of while we've all been looking at all of the big money buyers in the top 6. Outside of that, he's probably been one of the most refreshing sort of forward forces in the entirety of the division. I'm disappointed. We're in a title race. we're on a title charge. We want to win every game. I feel sometimes like Arsenal fans get a bit arrogant though, when it's like we almost expect every team to turn up and just roll over for us. And if they don't, it's got to be a catastrophe. I think there were a lot of things in the game that I wasn't particularly happy with from an Arsenal perspective. But again, there were a lot of things that there were a lot of scenarios that ever so slightly over, we leave there with nothing. Do you know what I mean? I think Raya's made 2, maybe even 3 incredible saves that have kept us in the game at arguably points when we didn't really deserve to be in the game. Do you know what I mean? And again, I said it before, the last time we won the league, wasn't a bunch of 3-0, 4-0 wins. Do you know what I mean? There were stinky 1-1s and 0-0s in there. And yeah, the most important thing is that we finished the game week at the top of the table, which, we've done. There were concerning bits. I'm not taking it as a coincidence that here after Eze put in that performance. That's not a coincidence. I don't care what he says he's doing. I know he's not preparing for Valentine's Day, so whatever he says, don't believe him.
I mean, that is a good point, the Eze one, because it was definitely, it seemed like, stinker and hooked. Second half, he doesn't, come out. And to be fair to him, his replacement didn't do too much better when he came on the pitch either. So it was a ban for ban when it comes to the stinky. But Jonts, do you think that we've mentioned it on this pod quite a few weeks now in a row about how Eze needs to stand up and actually perform? Were you disappointed with his first half performance? Because I've still seen a few people out there defending him. So what do you make of his performance in the game as a whole now that, hopefully you've watched back the highlights and caught up on it after missing the game live?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it from both sides. Like, am I personally angry at him or anything? No. I think it's a big ask to expect someone to perform when they're not getting consistent run of games, right? And I think there are very few players there in the world today that are like true impact players that can, come off the bench and just do whatever they need to do and kind of earn their way into the team. And I think he's probably quite low on confidence. So when you add those two kind of things together, that equation doesn't really result out to somebody who you expect to perform. And I know that's just the way things go at big clubs, right? When you're fighting for stuff and you've got quite a deep squad, you can't expect to just get given unlimited time to bed in and so on and so forth, right? But from the other side of things, I do kind of understand why people might be upset, right? Which is we bought you for big money. You've played in this league before, right? And what we're asking for, yeah, fair enough. We can talk about the off the ball stuff, right? But we're not even seeing much on the ball, right? Creatively speaking, either. So I think there is a fair expectation to say, mate, you've been in this league for a long time. You're a good player. We know you're a good player. We bought you for money. Like, come on and show us something at least from the creative side of things. Like, we're not all expecting you to track back and be kind of this off the ball possessed monster, but you've got to show us something. So I kind of get it from both sides. I'm still willing to give him time, right? And I think Khem, when he's not being an outrageous troll, makes a point. We do need to give players time in the league and even time in new teams when they've been in the league and they're playing in a very different style. So I'm happy and willing to give him time, because we have seen that happen with other players before where they haven't started well and then they kicked on, right? We've got actually quite a few in our team already that did not start so well and yet still look pretty decent. So yeah, I see it from both sides, but I'm willing to give him a bit more time. Am I on the train of thought though, where he is a godsend, cannot do any wrong? No. And I will call it out. He isn't playing well currently, but I don't want to jump on his back and say like, hey mate, you don't deserve to get in the team. To be honest, the person that he's the understudy to is also not necessarily performing. So if we're going to hold, both players to the same standard, well, yeah, maybe he does deserve a bit more of a run of games just into form. Likewise, you got to do something. You got to show us something. We're not asking for you to bang goals in. Like, we can turn into Liverpool fans and say progressive passes and just cover all the blades of grass on the pitch. We can do that. I'm fine with that. Just a little bit of something, please.
Yeah, I mean, but you make a good point though at the end there. Before I flip to Khem and get kind of the rival perspective on the Brentford game, he's probably gonna get a run now, because obviously Marino's injured. Havertz has now got his injury, and there's a doubt for the Spurs game, and apparently Odegaard was pictured limping into the bus or whatever else, and it looks like he may be injured too. So I mean, maybe this is a chance for him to get that rhythm, and it's gonna be one of those situations where he's gonna just have to pull himself out of the funk and the stink, because you're not going to have too many other options. Neri's on loan as well, another one of Io's favourites. So that he's going to get the opportunity surely now, and he's going to have to perform. Otherwise, the scrutiny is just going to build up, because I can't imagine he would have to be like bombastically smelly to get dropped from the team with all those injuries for a youngster who we've never heard of, or rejigging the whole team, right? So he's going to get a run. Let's be real. And he's got enough quality in the league, I think anyway, from his Palace time, that surely he's got to find a way. And if he can't, then I think you can point some fingers and ask some questions at least of Arteta, maybe like, why are you not getting the best out of him? As well as asking Eze, why are you not performing? Because it's probably a combo of both, isn't it? But Khem, what did you make of this game? Do you think, because there's quite a few people out there, some Arsenal fans included, that think they got out of dodge by getting a 1-1 in that game? Do you think they were pretty lucky to get the draw, or do you think it was a fair result?
No, that's a fair result. A point gained, in fact, for the title favourites to be. I think the crash outs are just PTSD, because you guys have struggled to win the league in a very, very long time, or anything in a long time. So it's warranted. But City will drop points on the road to this thing. Like, it's still the ceiling's still real low, guys. Like, it's bad. It's like it makes a bungalow look like a high rise, man. This ceiling is low. Brentford away, night game is not easy. They get up for it, man. Led by El Capitan Jordan Henderson as well. Balling out, so fair play to them. And you know what? The way you play, they're probably one of the teams that have actually sort of mirrored what you do to an extent for maybe a lower side quite well. So it's you can't really what Arsenal's strengths are actually kind of Brentford's, in terms of like aerial prowess, like strong with the set pieces, good in transition. So what you usually bully other teams for, they do. So like you running up with a long throw isn't going to shock them, because they practice it every week. So I think it's one of those games. It was just like you weren't at your best, but you didn't lose. So just take it, move on. You play the worst team next week, is it? I think so. You'll be back to 7 points with a gap, and City will probably fumble it somewhere on the draw. With the Eze thing, he's probably I guess he's reminding Arsenal why they dropped him in the first place. With his performances at the moment, and maybe we're seeing why no one actually did sign him. How old is he now? 27, 28. So maybe we're seeing why he was at Palace for this long. Like, maybe he is at best a squad player, and not a starter. Sorry if if I'm croaky in my voice. I had a quick nap before this pause. I didn't want to fall asleep on the live like people that aren't on today. But if he is watching, yeah, maybe Eze isn't as great as you think. Maybe it was only a fun signing because you jacked him off Spurs. Like, if you'd have hijacked Fulham or like, Sunderland for Eze, would it have been as fun? Would you have dropped a let it all work out video over hijacking, Leeds United? You know what I mean? Let's be real. And then of course he did bang a hat-trick against them as well, which was crazy. Seeing that's fun, that's your rivals, but you've been little broing them anyway. So yeah, it's difficult. Players do need time. I've tried to say that, but he doesn't need time in the Prem. He's been here. He's used to facing all these setups and styles and cold nights, cold Thursday nights and shit like that. So yeah, he doesn't need time to adapt to that or the physicality, no. But you guys are in. This is where you wanted to be. Where you didn't want to be having like a massive drop off from your starters to your bench, etc. So it's where you guys have wanted to be. You are saying what you've always wanted, and you are getting your results. Like, it's one draw. Like, you'll move on from it. It's still a point gained. I don't think they'll catch you. I think you guys are just too consistent. I think it's really difficult to beat Arsenal. So not many teams will do that. So it's going to take a lot for you to actually fumble the Prem. God willing you do, but I think you'll be all right, gents.
A couple of extra things to touch on before we move on. But Gabriel, do you think there's a couple of shouts there that he should have got a second yellow for a tackle in the corner? Do you think he was a bit lucky to get away with it? I think he had a good game. Other than that, I mean, he was him and Saliba or Mosquera, sorry, were tested quite a lot by Thiago throughout. So, do you guys think he could have got a second yellow? Because there are some shouts saying that he should have been sent off.
Nah, I'd allow it.
I'm not having it. I'm not having it. I mean, you can make these shouts all day long, and this one would be very, very low down the pecking order in terms of egregiousness. Especially, I know that we don't talk about tin pot clubs and, you know, people that can't fill out the stands. But have any of you lot seen what Foden did?
Yeah, he should have got a red for that. That was terrible.
This is in the you know, this doesn't even show up. You got to scroll 100 pages to get into the egregiousness of this one, and we're not even going to talk about that. So yeah, I'm not having it. You know, we've seen enough. If you want to say anything, the yellow card, you can. But the same way, and I'm going to ask, what did Walker as a yellow card for barely touching man in like the first 10 minutes? So it all evens out.
Yeah. The refs are just. Maybe it was a second yellow, but what's the? It doesn't matter. Man.
We don't have a clue anymore. I think that's the point, right? Like you could have seen a referee give a second yellow for it, but you could have also equally seen a referee just allow it, like they did. Like I don't know, Razor. Do you agree? Are you a tiebreaker on this? Do you think he should have got red?
I just think the refereeing overall, not just in terms of the decisions that went against Arsenal. I just think the refereeing, especially there was a 20-minute chunk in the first half, was really poor. Was a bit confusing. I think there were a couple of I think the referee kind of thought he was stamping his authority on the game. I think there were a couple of times, like Jonty mentioned, the Gyökeres yellow card, which was genuinely baffling to me. I think there were also a couple of times when he gave us quite soft fouls when like Brentford were trying to build that like sort of that sustained period of like pressure in the first half. Like there were a couple of like little fouls that kind of relieved pressure. And obviously as an Arsenal fan, I was happy to win them. But like if that was us, I would be like, what are you doing, ref? That's soft, you know what I mean? And then I think, interestingly, not making it back a chat about Eze, but I think interestingly, when Odegaard came on, I'm not crediting him entirely with it, but I think Arsenal looked a lot more dynamic, a lot sharp. I reckon they got a half-time bit of a hairdryer treatment as well, which is probably part of that. But I think that forced the ref to kind of have to like leave out a little bit. I wouldn't have been surprised if he went. I held my breath when he blew the whistle. I thought he was going to go. But I'm glad that he didn't give it, mainly because I think the number of yellow cards that he gave out in that first half period was interesting, and it was heavily skewed in one direction.
The ref definitely made it quite a bitty game in the first half, and there was a lot of stop-start and stuff, which is never good for the entertainment value of a match, right? Like we kind of want to see it flow as much as we can within reason. But yeah, no, I think it was one of those ones where it could have gone either way. I don't think it's an outrageous mistake not to give him a yellow, for sure not. It's one of those calls where the ref's pretty much going to make their judgment on the day, right? Unlike the Foden one that Jonty mentioned, which I obviously didn't watch that game live because why would I? But when I watched the clips on Twitter and stuff like that, I mean, that's an Achilles rake. Like that can end a player's career if it goes badly for. Was it Bassi? I think it was on, right? Like, yeah,
he was a mile away from the ball. The ball had
so
gone. The ball was in a different stratosphere, different postcode, and he was, chopping out, trying to stamp him out. So yeah, I mean, the other thing I wanted to get an opinion on, and realistic Guna, plus Anakin Skywalker. I'm not sure if I want to hear your opinion on this, but team selection wise, right? I know we've got a good, a tight run of games. Like we've got a lot of football today. We've got Wigan on the weekend. I'm sure we'll get into it, but starting Mosquera, starting Madueke with Saka on the bench. I know that injuries is one thing, and I didn't actually pay too much attention to whether we had any, but like, I guess if we didn't have any injuries, was this the right game to rotate a little bit? Because I definitely felt like from what I watched, the game was a lot more open in terms of our defense. And then Scara, he got skinned a couple of times, but he actually did quite well to recover in them. And I did think that Igor Thiago had a really, really good game. And honestly, I don't know, I might be fully on the Igor Thiago train in terms of like what I think of him, but it didn't feel like we had as much control. It maybe seemed like a game where, you know, to Khem's point, actually Brentford they're no slouch, man. They're a good team. And you talk about long throws. Mark Coyote is the best long thrower in the Premier League, and we are mere mortals when it comes to comparing against what he can do with a long throw. But I want to get Ray's opinion. Like, was it the right time to rotate a little bit? I know it wasn't crazy, but no Saka, no Saliba, no Odegaard.
I think, at the risk of getting called an Arteta sexual again or whatever, I think you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You know what I mean? If he plays Saliba and goes, listen, Saliba and Gabriel, best centre-back partnership in the Prem based on form, like, we need to stick with it. We can't afford, like, Brentford's a tricky game. We've got an informed striker. He does that. Like, what game was it earlier this season where Saliba got injured in warm-ups and everyone was cussing Arteta's mum? Like, what do you want to... Mascara's quality. Every time Mascara's played at the beginning of the season when we were, like, winning games and stuff, everyone was singing his praises. Yes, we'd ideally have our first team, but like we said earlier, that's when you get the depth and the rotation. Do you know what I mean? Is there much of a drop-off between Martinelli at his best and Trossard at his best? Would Martinelli have made more of an impact in the first half? Would Trossard have scored that chance that Nelly managed to not finish in the second? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Fine margins and all that. But I do think we're at a stage where we're not sacrificing massive things. Even if we really talk about it, Noni, how he started the game based on the version of Saka that we had yesterday, like, would you have, after seeing how Saka was when he came on, would you have started him? To me, he clearly didn't look fit. Do you know what I'm saying? He didn't look 100% Saka. So
he wasn't good. It wasn't a good cameo.
Yeah, I actually think, you know, making the subs when we're forced to make the subs, cool, one thing. I think making the subs when we're not forced to make the subs and trusting them, man, to do what needs to be done, that's what we're after right now. That's what kind of separates title challengers from title winners. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's actually what the discourse needs to be more about, rather than, because we are going to be damned if you do and damned if you don't. And we can't say like, oh, we can't win without Declan, we can't win without Saliba, we can't win without this player or that player, Saka or Odegaard, because at the end of the day, like, we've been here bare times. We know that people are going to get injured. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we know people are not going to be available. We waited how many weeks for Havertz? He came into the team, played brilliantly. He's injured again. Marino's injured again. Or no, injured. And fucking God, I haven't looked at the Gabby Jesus injury report in a while, but that's always frightful. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to get more comfortable with using the squad that we have, because the first 11 staying perfectly fit from now till May for every big game that we need them in isn't going to happen.
I hear what you're saying there, my best friend. But to Jonty's question, like, if your next opponents were somewhat decent, I'd agree with the rotation. But the fact that it is Wigan followed by Wolves, I think you could have played the backup guys in those games if you really wanted to keep players fresh. Brentford are a really strong team. They're not struggling like we predicted. They are, what, 6th, 7th? I don't know if they're above Liverpool, probably. If they aren't above us, please get on with it so we can make people look bad like Slot. But, like, I think you should have given it a go, get the points, because a lot of the talk is, you know, City are putting the pressure on you. Are you going to choke again, etc., etc.? We said the other day you were the only fixture on a Thursday this week. Everyone else had already had their games out the way. There wasn't really any need. You know, you got a quick turnaround to then play on the weekend and all that stuff. So it was designed for you to drop points. And that was a situation where You come in, get a big win against a tricky team on the road, and then you can play whatever against Wigan and Wolves, because you really should get that one done. You don't really need to worry about being bullied or harassed in those matches too much, because you will be dominating possession throughout. So I get what you're saying with rotating the players. Like Havertz has come back in and got hurt, but that's going to happen, man. When you're playing so many matches, that's just the modern age now, unfortunately, as well. Like the pace of the game is intense in this league. You're also in 4 competitions, so your players are going to feel the strain. But I think certain matches and momentum is key. I think you could have played the reserve guys in those fixtures, because you would get the result and they can get some minutes.
But who knows what's going on, right? Like I think like looking at some of the cameos of some of the people that came on, maybe the team selection was justified. Like I'm not saying there was a massive difference between performances, but like I'll give a couple of examples, right? I think Hincapié was really good in this game, and I've not been the biggest, like I've watched some games of him and he's been quite rash, but I felt like he was pretty good in this game. The guy I always slander on this pod, and I've built the agenda around, I thought he had a good game. I thought he held up the ball really well. I thought he actually did things that I've been like absolutely cussing him for on this pod really well in this game. Like he didn't get a goal, obviously, but he actually was pretty instrumental in a lot of the good things that happened in the game. There weren't loads of them, but he had a part.
I was going to send a Joker as a compilation from the game in the chat, but then I realized that was too shameless. I decided not to, but I'm glad that you recognized it.
A striker compilation where he didn't score.
Yeah, I mean that would have been too far, but he
had
good.
That's the level that we're getting to, Khem.
But he had, honestly, he was decent. Like the thing with him is, and we mentioned it. Well, I've been focusing on this on the other pods, was he's going to get the off the shin, off the arse type of goals. Like he's shown that already, right? But the things that I've been criticizing him on is just like his general play, and whether he can trap a ball, he can lay it off, and whether he actually can function in a team without looking like the worst player on the pitch or like the Make-A-Wish player. And in this game, he was really good. Like he didn't look like that, and he functioned really well in the team. So you got to give him credit for it. It's one game, but Brentford are hard. Like they've got big centre backs. Like he also had a really difficult task, but I felt like he did it really well. So there were little things in the game that were good, but yeah, there's too many of your attackers who are not firing right now, and it puts a lot of pressure on your defense to basically be flawless to get wins in these type of games. And conceding one goal is not that bad, but if you're conceding one goal because it becomes such a big impact because your attackers can't bag 2, 3, 4 like consistently enough in those tight games, or get nick a winner, then it's a lot of pressure on like not being able to rotate, like you mentioned, Khem. Because I agree with the Arsenal lads. I thought Mosquera, he had some slightly ropey moments, but he almost immediately fixed them. So if he caused, like he had a little mistake, he swept it up and he did well straight afterwards. And I like him. I think he's a good defender. But obviously, if you add Saliba in there, he's obviously a world-class defender. It's going to maybe improve it so slightly. But if you want to rotate and go at everything and go for all the trophies at the same time, then you are going to have to pick and choose your moments to bring in your Mosqueras and your Maduekes and stuff like that to have an impact. And you weren't a million miles away from it, but it was quite un-Arsenal like how many counters Igor Thiago had, how many shots he was able to have, and it was a bit like the organisation that Arsenal are generally very good at was kind of being pulled all over the place by Brentford. And I know they're a good team. They've slapped us up there, so they've beaten a lot of teams. I think they beat Chelsea there. They've given good games to a lot of teams, but it's one of those games you've got to roll the dice, right? Like you've got to roll the dice in some of these games.
More important than them being good, like they're very well drilled. Like their formation was very compact. Like they stuck to their defensive duties. The press was never lacking. And And I, for one, after hearing all of the flipping set piece discourse all bloody season, I'm not finding it like. It's funny because I feel like set pieces are in fashion or like on the rise for the whole of the league. But like there's been a particular focus on Arsenal. I do find it interesting that the team that's being coached by a set piece coach basically
He's smashing
is a
it.
team that seems to have found like a little bit of kryptonite for us. And like I genuinely I've said this before, and I don't think it's necessarily an Arsenal thing. I think it's like the Premier League physicality. Set pieces are higher percentage opportunities. I saw a great clip of like Dan Burn talking about it, like in terms of how they prepped to play Arsenal. And he was just sort of saying like set pieces, like long throws, corners, all of that stuff, free kicks. You're increasing your chance of creating a chance or getting a goal. It's all like marginal stuff, like small margins, tiny little like percentages increasing and stuff like that. And that's the game that we're playing. And I think like Brentford do all of those little things really, really well. Like giving them credit for like being like a good side and like they're really like efficient at that stuff. And like that's why I say like I think I get like the banter and stuff, but I think sometimes the Arsenal fan arrogance where it's kind of like, oh, this team didn't turn up and roll over for us. It's like, whoa, what do you want? Why are you crashing out? You crashing out because they did well. If we fail to pick up more than 1 point at Wolves, I might consider a crash out. I mean,
Wolves is a different scenario completely, right? Yeah, that's not the same thing. Like Brett, and we have to give credit to not only the coaching, but their recruitment is 10-10, and like they're planning, because when they decided to go for Keith Andrews, whether it was the group chat or on pods, I can't even remember, but I was so certain, and a lot of men were very certain they were going down swiftly. But obviously shows how much we know and how much they know. But also their recruitment has been 10-10. Like, you know, Khem's going on Jordan Henderson, which fair dues, he's brought in some of the intangible stuff in midfield. I don't think he's been like one of their top 3 players, but he's definitely been a good signing for them. But obviously Thiago, who came in, I think a couple of seasons back, got an ACL, didn't play the whole season, and now he's come back like a new man and is playing unreal. Kayode, I was saying in the group chat, Jason Wilcox, get the check out. We need him. We need a right back. We'll swap him for Dalot anytime. Yarmouk in midfield as well, going under radar. He's really good in midfield. They've got a lot of handy players, and they've built up that squad. Yeah, over time, man. And the Kelleher's decent as well. Yeah, they've built up a really handy squad that are going to do well in this league, especially the way it's going more physical. Like, because if you look at their back line, they're all giants. They're all giants, and their midfield are really physical. And Thiago's got physicality, and I think he's a good player on the ball as well. So they're a really good team, man.
I think that they've really got 2 big things that I think help them. Right, is number one, this is the benefit of playing to your squad strength. Right, I think we've all had a moan before about seeing teams that really should not be trying to play out from the back, and you're just like, mate, what the hell are you doing? Who up there, play the game that you need to play from the point of view of like what you've got in your squad. I think they're a great example, and that's not like to discount the football or anything, because they actually play quite entertaining football. Even before under Thomas Frank, they were playing good football. Like, it's actually enjoyable to watch. There's nothing to disgrace, their team in terms of the way that they play football. It's good, but the biggest thing about it is that it works for the team and the players that they've got. They're not trying to do something that isn't their identity, that they don't have the ability to do. And we see so many of these project managers come in constantly, and they try and get a team to do the exact opposite of what they're used to, of what they're good at, of what they're of what they have played previously. And we always see it go terribly, right? I know Amarim's a great example, right? Like, look at that team humming now, just by a different style of football that probably like matches or suits them a little bit better. And I think that that is one thing that Brentford really have. And then the only other thing I will say about that is they've got the beautiful thing of not having too much attention and too much eyes on them constantly. And I think this is especially for a manager that's new in the game. Just give him a bit of space to do what he's got to do, right? And don't have a fan base that's hugely entitled to just expect that you're going to be really good all the time. The Brentford fans, when you see these interviews with them, they are literally just happy to be here. right? If they end up 17th, stay in the league, they'll be more than happy just to still be here, right? And that also partly takes some of the pressure and attention off them, because you don't have a bunch of Brentford fans sneaking out the manager if he makes one wrong move. So I think when you bring all that together, they've got like the recipe to keep chugging along. The issue they've got is it's almost like, don't stick your head out too much, because then, Chelsea come knocking, Man City come knocking and start nicking some of your players, and then you end up getting kind of essentially rinsed, and then people start looking at you. And I'd argue Brighton this season have been a great example of that, right? They've been rinsed a couple of times, probably a bit too much pressure on them or a bit too much attention on them, and they start to falter a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, good. I would say, yeah, well done to Brentford. I think they're doing a really good job, and they are a joy to watch. And like I said, Thiago, baller. It's a good team.
He's not gonna be there for that much longer. But it is the similar Brighton thing. They'll have to just keep replacing players, and they've done it with Tony and Mbeumo, and before that they had Ollie Watkins and stuff like that. They've to this point done really well with that, and we all know that has an expiration date, like Southampton and other teams before that have had similar scenarios. But at the moment, they're doing well, and yeah, I think they were good value for their point and could have even nicked it at the end. So yeah, in my perspective, Arsenal get the point and get the hell out of there. All right, we'll segue over to West Ham versus Man United. Ended 1-1. Drab first half, not much going on at all. Second half, early doors, Souček gets a goal. A really well-worked goal from their perspective. Luke Shaw has an absolute nightmare on that one from a United perspective. And then, yeah, not much happens until we start to bring on the subs. To be fair to Carrick, he did do an Amorim and replace a centre-back with another centre-back. But at the same time, he took off, he took off Dalot for Xerxes and brought on Sesko up front for Cunha. And we did start to create a few more chances. Xerxes had a header which just went wide. We had a disallowed goal from Casemiro, which I'm seeing all kinds of stuff on Twitter, so I want to get you guys' opinions on this. And then eventually Sesko scores with just like a really weird, but in my perspective anyway, like a class finish. He kind of dinks it, loops it over the keeper, from my perspective, again, a really poor cross from Mbeumo. The cross was rubbish. And somehow Sesko turned it into a goal. And then, yeah, right at the end, again, I think Ahmad was on a 2-on-2 and it fizzles out. So there was even a chance maybe in the last few embers to get something else. But 1-1 draw in the end. From a United perspective, our worst performance under Carrick so far. West Ham definitely deserved the 3 points from the value of performance. I think Nuno's properly got his way of playing into that team. I had to keep checking that we were playing West Ham because it just felt like we were playing Forest of last season, Wolves of 5 seasons ago. They just he set up his team with a really stable back line, and Bowen, Somerville played really well. He gave Dalot a really difficult time, as shit as Dalot is, but he still rinsed him a good few times. And even that striker they brought in, Tati from Lazio, he was pretty decent. So overall, I think we got very, very fortunate to get the 1-1. They had quite a few breakaways before we had the equaliser as well. Lenny Oro saved us quite a few times on transition, made some big blocks. But yeah, disappointing result. Very, very much, I think, probably even more so a valuable point for us than the Brentford Arsenal game, because I think West Ham probably deserve to win that game. I don't know. Rhys, you've joined the pod. What's up, bro? Did you catch the West Ham United game? And do you agree with my assessment that we were quite lucky to get a point?
Yeah, I think so, especially when they went ahead. I think they probably made it a bit more difficult for you to come back into the game. And I just feel like the chances you created, maybe you fashioned, maybe weren't good enough. But the changes sort of helped. And then the goal, you got props to Sesko because that finish was mad. But I think it's a point earned for Man United more than anything, because I definitely think in that environment, they definitely could have walked away with nothing. I would sort of same sort of thing you said about Arsenal, just sort of take it and get out of there, really, because it could have ended differently for you. I think you had a few chances though in the first half. I think you had a well-worked corner.
Luke Shaw, they cleared off the line,
it's just those places are always tough to go. And then there's obviously all this hype about this guy and his hair. I feel like that's kind of more the talking point than United itself. Obviously he's doing his thing, and I see a lot of people hating on him online, but I just think people are talking about that when that's not really what should be spoken about. It's a good point for Man United at the end of the day. And something they can build on. I mean, they're in the top 4, right? You're making steps to kind of progress, obviously much better than you have been. And it looks like the boy Kobe's been given a new lease of life. I think he was really unlucky with that offside goal. I think, what was it, like an arm or something? So I thought that was crazy. It's just it's the offside, or who even knows how it works anymore, because isn't it any part of the body you can score from? And like,
bro, you're gonna make me crash out on this, and I'm not even that mad about that result, really, because we got mad lucky, and I'm happy that we got a draw and no problem. Like, West Ham definitely deserved to win, in my opinion, but I read some absolute bullshit after that Verts goal. By the way, I'm not coming for you, Khem, but I'm just saying it specifically because that was when I read about it, where he looked clearly offside, and they said they'd started waffling about this 5 centimeters of grace or whatever that they give the attacking player, right? And they gave the goal. If that's the rule, then are you telling me that the bottom half of Casemiro's shirt sleeve is like, and it's less than 5 centimeters for sure? And to be fair to him, before they drew the line, I think he looked way more offside than he did when they drew the line. I'm like,
actually, when I first saw it, I did think it was offside. But
what's happened to this 5 centimeters of grace or whatever they called it? And for a shirt sleeve, you're having a fucking laugh, mate. I was losing my rag after that.
You got to be playing in Europe to get that grace, bro.
I see. It's conspiracy settings. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. But I mean, like, that could have changed the game, because that was quite early on in the second, or midway through the second half. So it was. We probably would have thrown the kitchen sink up for a lot longer and more sustained if we'd have managed to get that equaliser, because it was a great header, to be fair, and a good cross from Kobe, because you're right, Rhys. He had a good game in this one. He maybe could have tracked a runner for that goal that they scored, but I think there was just, I mean, Luke Shaw, that I can't criticize. He's been good this season, but I've had like 9 other seasons of this guy either being cropped or he's just doing dumb shit like that. And I mean, let the ball bounce, then he lunged, then he's way out of position, and everyone else has to like shift around and doesn't. You could clearly see that everyone lost their man, because Souček runs in between Kobe and Casemiro, and they clearly both don't know who's supposed to follow him, and they score. So some frustrating points in that game, but I think West Ham were good, and we were really lucky to get out of it. I know that Luke Shaw thing happened, but I think they had a couple of like flash shots where they could have scored in the first half too, but it was pretty drab. I was going to try and get through this episode without mentioning the hair bloke, because same like you mentioned, man. From all the like other things that you see of him, apart from his daily update on his massive Barnet growing, like, he seems like a decent guy, but the amount of content I saw with just him everywhere before the game, it's like, this is a circus, man. I don't want any of this shit. Like, can we just play football games without having to watch all the betting companies and all the streaming companies just using this guy to advertise their crap before the game? Because if we win another 4 games, it's happening all over again, lads. Yeah. I was like, not only for the 3 points, I was like, please, Ahmad, when he was clear in the last action of the game, I was just like, just fucking have a shot and just hope it comes off someone's arse cheek and goes flying in, and we win 2-1. cut the guy's hairdo off, give him a 0. Don't even give him a short back inside, so it takes ages for his hair to grow back again, and just fucking end it, man. Because it was just too much, man. You even seeing Rooney and all these guys being like, "I've had fuck enough of him." Just it's a bit harsh on him, but it's just, come on, man. It's too much, man.
To the pressure like that's on United as a football club right now in terms of them winning games and improving from the position that they was in. So yeah, it's just I don't think it's needed.
Yeah.
On the other hand, though, you've got to say, like, this is what that comes with the territory of being one of the Cartel Six, as Villa fans call it. And I will say that I spent 3 days this week in Birmingham for work, and I spoke to a number of Villa fans, and honestly, it's all they talk about, right? When they're in the presence of somebody who supports one of the big teams, it's literally all they can talk about. And so I will say, man, I think Arsenal with AFTV, we've had to take it. I think Liverpool, you've probably skated by a little bit. Man City haven't really got any fans, so that's that. But Spurs, they also suffer, I think, a little bit as well with all their fans getting on their back. But I will just say this does come with the territory of being like the big club, is that you are a prime target for influencers, for fans to just make something out of it. That's really got nothing to do with Man United actually being successful, right? I think we've talked about this before with Goldbridge. He makes me absolutely cry with laughter. But let's be honest, he probably does better when you guys are absolutely rubbish and you're good. So I think you got to just take it on the chin, mate, and move on. But yeah.
Mate, this is I agree with you, but like you mentioned, we've already got Goldbridge. We've been charging it to the game already for ages. We don't need another guy with massive hair. Like, go do that for, like you said, City or another team who got like less fans or less big fans online. And go, give us a break.
All right. Nah. This is deflection of the highest order. Do not blame this guy for taking advantage and getting his little platform his quite sizable platform now out of the fact that you lot have been stinky for a prolonged period of time. Like, you beat Arsenal, you beat City. Really and truthfully, yeah, it was West Ham. And this is the thing, like United, you should have won the game. You should have won the game, and then we should, ever again.
Nah, it was always going to be talked about. Come on, man.
I don't think my man thought he was going to be growing his hair for 1,000 plus days.
No, he definitely didn't. I'm not having a go at him for doing it. Like, the whole thing is for charity, right? So, like, it's big him up. He's doing a good thing, even if he's obviously getting little benefits from it.
I think it was a joke at the start, but then because you guys are a joke, it's now gone to charity. But like, that says a lot about your Man United, yeah, that you haven't won 5 games in a row, and God knows. Does this include pre-season, by the way? Because you don't even play enough games to maybe even qualify. Because Arsenal and City
we didn't win 5 pre-season games, bro.
Like, you're gonna have to start scheduling. Does it include the women's team? Like, what's going on with it? Because you're gonna have to
people made jokes about this, and I'm not going to be shameless like AFTV were when you Arsenal women's won the Champions League and said, you're going to have to. You're going to need it. You're going to have to go back to Hong Kong, get the bus out and schedule like as many games against like the Hong Kong under 16s as you can. So the joke was.
That's not.
The joke was our women's team has won 5 games multiple times. So if he'd have just been a bit more, had a bit of foresight and been a little bit, bigger picture, he could have had a slick haircut 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years. But sadly, he just did it on the men's team, and we've been shite. So, I'm sure he's benefited in other ways other than, getting a nice haircut. So, anyway, we've got this to look forward to again, hopefully in the future.
We don't sing Champions of Europe at men's games. We sing them at women's games, and we are rightfully the Champions of Europe. So
no, actually, Jonathan, we're currently the world champions, the women's world champions,
and that as well now. That.
Yeah. So,
all right, I'll leave that to Rhys to deal with that. I'm not getting involved in it
when it's appropriate. No, put some respect on Katie McCabe and.
Big him up.
What you don't need to do is don't talk too much because Luca will get mad. So maybe we shouldn't comment on it.
All right, let's move on.
What you do, manager, get your team. You start setting up friendlies against Lincoln City, And these you just need to stick 5 of those on the calendar and just go
We're
crazy.
not winning
Just
them,
get my
John.
man's
We're
head
not.
up.
We're not winning them.
Prem games, so.
No, it's all
Is it-
competitions, but
can't be.
it's not including friendlies. Like this season, we've had no competitions. We've gone out and
Yeah,
everything.
all competitions is the Prem for
Premier
them.
League.
Yeah.
Right, this season, yeah. But he started it last season when we were in Europa, and I think we had 3 wins multiple times, including the other competitions, but we didn't get it over the line. Big up, boss man. This is not
for not win 5.
this is not Bossman V4J. This isn't an Arsenal channel. Sorry, mate. We have waffled too much about them. We'll move on. Let's go on to Chelsea then. 2-2. 2-0 up. João Pedro, Cole Palmer. And then somehow before blink of an eye, it's 2-1. And then I actually started tuning in because I was like, what the hell? Have Leeds actually got a chance? And yeah, absolutely diabolical second goal. I'm expecting a mini Rhys crash out when we talk through it because it was just comedy of errors. And then yeah, to wrap it up, the coldest of cold, Mr. Bloody open goal in the last few seconds of the game.
Nwankwo Palmer, come on down.
Yeah, crazy end to the game. You've snatched a draw from the jaws of victory. Rhys, what did you make of the game? And do you agree with Rosinha? Because I couldn't quite work out if he really was angry, because I can't really tell with him whether he's joking, whether he's angry, or whether what's really going on when he speaks. But he basically thinks the second goal should have been disallowed for handball. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I get it. It could have been, but I think, yeah, it was because of the proximity. I don't know. It makes it difficult just to maybe, but I think forget the handball. Let's talk about that calamitous defending because, yeah, I mean, we was pretty much in the driver's seat. And then, yeah, I guess we just threw it away. Silly second goal from, well, I suppose you can't blame Achimpong too much because I guess he doesn't get too much minutes, but yeah, just Chalobah, I think just the way kind of that goal, it just sums up our kind of season in terms of the goals we concede. I've saw a highlight reel of the goals we concede and they're just so calamitous defensively. So I think we were the masters of our own downfall pretty much in that game. I think we played well up until that point. Cole's looking sharp. I mean, he did miss an open goal, but he was very much involved in the game, getting amongst it, picking up the ball, like forward passes, linking up well with João Pedro as well. I know we spoke about last week, not too long ago, Jonty, when you said about the Jackson Palmer link up. Well, we might have that reborn, you know. Not well, but I suppose it's looking good for João Pedro. I think that's 5 and 6 as well. So yeah, he's finding his feet. So we just got to put it behind us. We got a good result today against Hull, but expected we should. That was kind of routine. But in the end, yeah, we just have to look at the Leeds game as it's the same story even under Maresca, where winning positions and dropping points, whether it be Villa, I think Brighton came and took points off us. Palace, we went ahead, dropped points. So we just need to, get some more defensive organisation. So I don't fault Rosinha too much on this. I don't think you can't coach that type of defending at the end of the day. And yeah, it just leaves us in a bit of a rut for the race for top 4 because March is coming, and in March it does get a lot tougher for us. I said before on the pod, and then I said that's when we need to sort of show our resilience and show we need to win games to stay in the top 4 race. But yeah, not a good day at the office as far as I'm concerned. You don't drop points like that when from winning positions against people in teams in relegation. It just there's no excuse for that really.
Yeah, a couple of other Chelsea mates and other Chelsea fans online have basically been saying it kind of came out of nowhere because apparently you lot, I watched the highlights back, but obviously the highlights are, condensed, but they were saying that it was one of your better performances in that first half and up until 2-0. And it kind of all went to shit after kind of Caicedo made that silly challenge to give away the penalty, and then things got a little bit tricky after that. So it's one of them games where when you're, I guess, with the new manager and rebuilding the team, you have those kind of games, right, where the performance was good or pretty much good for most of the game, but somehow you managed to screw it up because, to give away a penalty, I think Caicedo didn't need to do that, really. It's a bit rash. And then, the second goal, like you mentioned, just errors, man. Error after error. Could have cleared it 3 or 4 times. Sanchez as well, who's been pretty good recently, kind of doesn't really help the situation too. It's all confusion and it's a bit comical, isn't it?
That it boils back to obviously the experience in the team, but obviously we won't get into the transfer policy right now. But it just shows like when you lack that experience, goals will come like that, and you can be ahead all you want, but if you don't keep focused for the whole game, then that's what happens. It's just another testament to the fact the buying policy is shit, and we need more experience in the team. But
fuck the directors, what do you man think though, rival fans? Do you think it was a Jonty? I'll go to you first. Do you think it was a handball? Because I do kind of get where he's coming from, and I was actually quite surprised to see it stand.
Honestly, I think every single time we ask a question related to the rules of football on this pod, everyone is going to say the same exact thing, which is I don't really know what they are anymore, because I could have sworn there was a point where everyone was saying if it touches a hand, any part or run up to a goal, it is not a goal anymore, right? We had the Kai Havertz one from last season, right, where like barely touched his arm at all and it was disallowed, right? We had one, was it last week? Can't remember who it was, but someone had a shot and it hit the guy's arm and it would have gone into the back of the net. And as a result, even though it wasn't like in a natural position, still deemed to be a penalty and whatever else. I honestly just don't know what the rules are on the handball anymore. And I feel like they're trying to kind of just like falling away from the whole story, this spiel that they had before about like, if it's in a goal scoring opportunity or whatever else, and they have a certain way of dealing with it. So I honestly don't know, but I think, it probably should be the last thing we talk about when we talk about the game, because really, like, Chelsea should have come out of this way better than they did, right? And we can all cop-outs at some point and say, oh, well, even though we played terribly and should have done better than we did, we still deserve to have won because of XYZ. And at this point, we've just got to completely disregard refereeing and any kind of decisions in games now, right? Like, we just have to put fully the onus on all of us, not all of us, but all of the players, all of the teams, and just say, well, you've got to go and win it regardless of what happens, because you're essentially just picking out of a hat every single time. They may as well literally flip a coin on every decision, and it would be more predictable than what we've got now.
That'd be more exciting, actually.
It probably would be. Instead of all this VAR, why don't we just go to the side? Ref just flicks a coin, heads is it's a penalty, tells it's not, and let's just
it'll be quicker than drawing lines and all that stuff as well. If someone toothpicks someone in the face, doesn't matter. Flip a coin, heads, red card, tails, play on. Like, that's it, and then just
it's all subjective, though, isn't it? Depending on the ref. At the end of the day, and what they see at the time, like, it's not consistent. It's all different.
We've been colonized by shit refs. What are we gonna do?
We'll get to the colonization bits later. Don't go early.
Backgammon.
God's sake. I get it. Apparently, the official reasoning was that the goal scorer didn't handball it, and it wasn't like the definitive part of the play. And that's the reason why this previous understanding that we all had, that if there was a handball leading to a goal, that it would be disallowed, which, to be honest, just sounds like they made that up on the spot. So I've got no idea, like you.
Someone needs to check live document that they're using, because there's definitely going to be like edits where they're just adding new bits in, like with crayon. You know, when you do the review function on Word and then you get to see what people are adding to it. It's clearly just that after every game, it's like, all right, well now there's a new.
You just see,
yeah,
you see Howard Webb. You see Howard Webb in the document the same time as you, just jumping in and.
I think they're asking Grok
stuff
each time if it's a thing or not. You know, it's just bad across the board, and I swear it's just this league. I don't feel like, because whenever I watch Champions League, and I don't know, you know, of course you're still tuning in, but like whenever I'm watching European games, it's pretty seamless. Like I don't know about you guys when you're watching, but whenever there's a contentious decision, give or take, it's pretty much like, yep, the right decision is made.
Bro, it's Champions League in Europe is not a fair comparison, because they're trying to anyway pick the best of the best. If you go into the actual league and see the average top referee in their leagues, they've got bozos just as much as we do. I think the difference is because we've got the league that so many people watch. We've got probably the most funded referee group of most big nations, and yet they still make absolute clangers and just cover their ass 24/7. Like that Michael Owen show. And how
maybe it's not well funded, because most of our refs, like we've said before, go over to the UAE or Dubai or wherever city have their sponsors and get some extra work on the side part time. So they maybe aren't funded well enough, allegedly. So if they actually fund them better, and we get some good guys in, like that one that made that decision where I think VAR called him over and he still stuck with his on-field decision, but then he still got like demoted. If we get more of them, man, in, pay them well, because like the NBA sucks because they have NFL sucks because they have part-time refs. So like I don't even get mad at the refs because it's not even their full-time job. So I expect them to be crap. But in the Premier League, we shouldn't be having this when there's so much money involved, to be honest.
I would go the other way. I think the carrot doesn't work. Let's go for the stick. I want refereeing to be part of community service, right? And it reduces your sentence if you're half decent. And I think that's the way we need to go with it. We need to go the other opposite direction. Now, if you get a speeding ticket, or if you vandalize or whatever, all right, we're pulling you into the PL. You're going to referee a game. If you do a good job, then you get a couple of days off your sentence or whatever else. Because at the moment, whatever money they are getting paid, they do not deserve. They should be donated to, I don't know, whatever paint, the software company that makes the Paint 3D or whatever they're using to draw the lines, be geared to someone else. Because at the moment, it's woeful. The fact that they get paid anything is a fucking disgrace.
That's such a half Chinese policy.
Yeah, it is. And I've seen Rhys. I see you coming off mic multiple times, but having to revert back to going off mic when Khem's saying what he's saying and Jonty's
saying all kinds of things, and I'm just like, do you know what? We did a disclaimer at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Employment.
Might need to reload it, bro. We might need to reload it.
Yeah, referees are. There's enough money in this country for us to have the best of the best referees. Really and truthfully. Yeah, I agree with Khem. Like our referees shouldn't be going on summer holidays to nation states to hang out with people who allegedly own the parent club of a big football conglomerate that has ruined the beautiful game. They should be. I said allegedly, right? Allegedly,
yeah,
allegedly.
Multiple times, don't worry, you're good.
They should be going. No. All jokes aside, like. Our English Premier League refs should be going to, coach other referees in the flipping summer, so that like the standard of refereeing in other leagues can be going up. That's what the best, most wealthy flipping league in the country. That's what the referee and that's what the officiating should be doing. It should be setting the standard and the tone. Do you know what I mean? But I was about to say something wild. Instead, that's not what's happening, and that's where I'm going to leave it. And I'm disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, the bar is on the floor when you got people like David Coote on camera calling you.
Oh God, bro!
Yeah, off his face. So I mean, what is the standard of refereeing in this country? Like,
so they might secretly already be doing the community service idea, right? They might be doing that. We just haven't told anyone. Apparently.
Maybe you're right.
It could be.
WWE, they're like part of the show, aren't they? They're meant to, but maybe the refs are supposed to like cock it up here and there to have talking points, because it's at this point where it's like, was it this bad when we were younger, or did we just not? I don't know anymore. I know United obviously got all the favourable decisions. We all know that, but in general, like all the other matches that were played each week, I don't remember it being this diabolical without all the tech that's there to support them, all the extra cameras that's there to support them. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah,
they definitely were not this diabolical. They weren't this diabolical. I know that everyone has the rose-tinted glasses and they say, "Oh, the PL was best whenever they grew up," essentially. But honestly, it wasn't this bad. There were probably challenges with rules, right? That they've changed them, you know, injuries and so on and so forth. But I don't remember it being this inconsistent, right? Like the rules we can talk about separately, but it was never this inconsistent.
I think it's just there's a variety of things. I think actually there's elements that have improved, obviously, with the technology. But then the problem is the bar and the expectation rises with that, because you know that someone's got all of this tech at their disposal and they should be getting things right. And then because they do all these things to pat themselves on the back, again, when they have like a complete calamity, it's just bigger and more obvious, and we've got all the different platforms and channels to be able to vent about it. And then I think actually giving them more say has harmed them when you've got people, you know, on these different shows backing them up, and then it just makes it all look probably a lot fishier than it is, and it's just the standard is not good enough, and the current batch of refs that we have are not that good. And hopefully if we get a better batch in, then it improves. But yeah, it's hard to say whether it was kind of better or worse now, but it certainly feels like they're having big clangers regularly, and we didn't have that before.
I have one final thought on this. I think referees need to get respected more, which is a chicken and egg situation, because the players, fans, managers, everyone will start to respect them more when they're less fucking useless. But realistically, if you look at a different game, and I hate to do the comparison of the two, but if you look at a game where, like, you know, like rugby, like there's rugby refs are definitely not getting paid bare money compared to like Premier League refs. You know what I'm saying? But like, they command respect, and there's a respect in the work that they do, and they're expected to know the laws of the game inside and out, and they're expected to be the arbiter of those rules when they're on the pitch, and the game runs smoothly. You don't really see rugby refs like throwing around sin bins to stamp their authority on the game. They just tell man, shut up, and man know what time it is. And that's because there's a bit more of a mutual respect there for man's capabilities, but also his control of the game. You know what I'm saying? So I think, like, yeah, it's about the quality going up, and then end up in a situation.
I hear you, but they use tech. They've used tech a lot longer in rugby than they've done in football. Like, I think rugby, cricket, tennis have used like tech on the side and had video arrest for a while, but they don't fuck it up like the Luis Diaz situation a couple of years ago. They don't call a try on the microphone but not give the try. Do you know what I mean? They don't have stupidness like that in rugby, because they have, like, for a sport that's so violent, they still have common sense. Like, we have allegedly people going out to certain countries and then giving stupid decisions to their rival teams. Let's just be real here, okay? That's what's happening, and we just have to just live with it. There's definitely a script writer out there.
This is the weirdest thing about it, right? Even in cricket, I know we don't have a lot of cricket fans in here. I know I've tried to go down that path before, and it didn't go anywhere good. But we're talking about two sports that arguably have a more complicated set of rules than football, right? If you watch a rugby game, the first thing that a lot of like rookie rugby watchers will say is like, I don't understand what's going on. And likewise for cricket, my biggest thing is on Razor's point, right? Like, I do agree that we should have more respect for referees, right? And I think it's a two-way street, right? Just as you said, they need to command respect, but then they also need to be respected by the players. But the biggest thing that I think delivers that respect is to be the authority on the pitch when it comes to the rules. And I think if you put Howard Webb in one of them Jubilee-style format videos, one referee against 20 fans, I guarantee you the fans are knowing more about football rules than they do. And or they are just as confused as all of us about what the rules actually are, because they're changing them every 5 seconds and updating the Google Doc. So, I think everyone will give them more respect when they actually show that they know what they're doing in terms of what the rules are, how they're being applied, and not just adding things on to their sentences. Like, oh, sorry, a year ago I hadn't finished my sentence, so it's handball. And then a year later, if you do it like this, and then the next year, but not if you do it like that. It's like we're slowly developing rules over the course of 7 years, where these men could just sit down one summer, instead of going to alleged countries, sit down one summer, watch back the games, see what actually is happening, go through the examples, and actually set up, okay, well, this is the rule, and this is the application of the rule, and there it is. Not this, for the next 3 months, you're not allowed to try and touch the ball before someone takes a free kick, otherwise you get sent off and you get booted for your troubles, right? Like, what are we doing? It's really not that difficult. I know I'm not a referee, but this is not that difficult, and they're making it look difficult, which is the sign of a terrible organization from my point of view.
Yeah, but I think before we move on, because we've been on this for a minute, I think the point you touched on right at the end is the key. If you keep tweaking things 24/7, you start getting lost. You get lost in the sauce, man. You don't know what's going on anymore. If you just keep like having all of these interpretations of rules because you leave them either in a gray area or you constantly shape shifting them, it's going to confuse people. It needs to be very, very clear. And then you need to say to all the referees on things that are impossible to make black and white, we will back your judgment. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake, but we'll back the judgment. We won't confuse things and we'll just leave it like that. And that's what I think a lot of people who are anti-VAR say. Just go back to the old days with the ref. If they cock it up, they cock it up, and you just know it's an error. Instead of having all of these defensive, explanations from Howard Webb and Dermot Gallagher and all the other mouthpieces on telly to defend them. And then that's when you start to build up animosity and you lose the respect point that Razor was talking about. Because I guarantee you in the olden days, like the players had more respect for the refs, even if they were making clangers, because they just knew that the ref made a clanger and they would probably admit to them, sorry, Patrick Vieira, Roy Keane or whoever, I've effed it up and, I made a mistake. And then you move on. But if you have all of this defending all the time and all these other things come out, you build up this kind of ill will to them and you get a 25-minute segment on the social media derby talking about how useless you are. All right, let's go on to the Sunderland-Liverpool game. Only win out of the 4 teams that we cover mainly on the pod. 1-0 away at Sunderland. Only team I think that had a defeatless record at home, and Liverpool end it with a bit of a shit goal, to be honest. It wasn't the greatest game, but I will say you guys absolutely fought tooth and nail. And Sunderland are a very difficult team. I've talked about them on here. I get unfairly, banded around different ways that I've said stuff about Sunderland, but they've got a team of very physically strong and Prem-ready players. And you guys got the dub, Khem. You happy? I know you've got the whole slot out and tank the season vibe generally, but you do support Liverpool. Surely you were happy to see them get the win here.
Yeah. Rather talk about refs. We beat Sunderland. We took their undefeated record. We're leaving with something. Northeast champs, beat Newcastle away as well in the Battle for Isak. That's what we're clutching at here. Just nothing but crumbs. I'm going to be real. I think if Xhaka was in the match, it might be a bit different because I still saw pockets of space that were there to be attacked. They didn't have the right players to deal with that. I think they did battle hard. It was pissing down, etc., all that kind of stuff that would be a recipe for a disaster for one of the Red Cartel, but. Good fight. I actually, this could end up turning into a war or it could be a quick one. I think that might have been one of Wirtz's best matches in terms of like being a Premier League player. Like both offensively and defensively, as a midfielder, as part of the midfield three, because we looked at him as the weak link for quite a while, but he was in there, man, gritted teeth. He might have had a gum shield in as well, like Endo, battling hard. Unlucky as well with a chance to hit the post. He could have had a couple of assists, but as majority of the season, the guys wasted the chances that he did put on the plate. Another bit of a bozo kind of shooting performance from Ekitike, but he's so fun to watch, so it doesn't even matter. Like, even his misses are more exciting than Gyökeres's goals, for example. That's much boring. And Sesko, I'm going to throw him in there as well. He didn't mean that goal, by the way. You conveniently skipped me on the United segment again. He didn't mean that goal. You talk about shinning it in and all that kind of shit, bro. I think he was trying to pass it along to the next man, just looped off his foot and winning. That's how techless he is. But good win from the team. Shout out Wataru Endo, man. You know, what a guy, man. He barely gets any minutes because this manager doesn't trust any of the role players, but he stays ready all the time, comes in at right back, well out of position, a difficult matchup on his side, done bits, messed up his ankle, got up, carried on playing, fell over, hurt it again, trying to defend, winning a header, got up again, because we know what we're like if we're down to 10 men. We're not going to kick the ball out and get a sub, are we? So fucking hell, maybe that was another reason he got up again. Goes off on a stretcher, will probably miss the World Cup, and he's in his 30s, so that might be his last chance at one. So if we had more players like him, we might not be as shit as we are this season. Definitely a warrior. And also another example of not playing. I don't know what we're going to do now, because that's the backup to the backup of this right back position. It's actually cursed. Like, Frimpong, God knows how many injuries he's had. Bradley is always injured and he's out for the season. And he's always been injury prone, because before he used to always get hurt. We told him to put on some bit of muscle to withstand the intensity of the league. But I think he put too much muscle on and the guy runs like he's on fucking Minecraft or something. I don't know what's going on. And then he doesn't play this kid Calvin Ramsey, who's a right back. So I don't know who's next. Szoboszlai might return to right back. Or Jones. Someone joked saying playing Gakpo there, which was outrageous, by the way, because then they would say he might pick up a knock. That didn't even come from that. I saw it. That's you thought I hate him. Yeah, there's genuine haters out there who wish he played right back. That's crazy. But yeah, take the 3 points. It makes Slot look great, because United messed up and Chelsea messed up. So now we're suddenly back in this top four race. So thanks a lot, guys. You absolute dickheads. Whenever this guy is facing the sack, he turns into 2010 Spain, for crying out loud, or Del Bosque or whatever. Like, unbelievable powers of recovery every time. So yeah, we'll probably lose our next 3 and then slap up like Juventus or someone away from home. That's just how it's going on. I think we got Brighton next. Should win, but it's at home. You should win the game, and then everyone be back on it's the player's fault, not the manager kind of shit. So yeah, we take it. We take the 3 points, whatever. It wasn't an enjoyable match. Difficult opponent. Beautiful kit. That's it, really. That's the analysis. We're shit.
Oh my God. Yeah. 10 minutes we'll never get back, lads. But
that
what I will
10. That is cat. That was at least like 3. I don't want to speak on this team, bro.
But we can tell because you just ping from topic to topic. You're just like, and then. Are you sure you don't have ADHD?
It's just the players definitely do the way they perform in most matches. But it was a good, solid win, good battle. But again, it's just they're an inconsistent team. There's no point in getting gassed over a dub, because I know what's coming around the corner. It's going to be a stupid 1-0 or dumb defeat against a team we should be beating. Like, that's the situation we're in.
What a sad little life. What a sad little life you have.
No, we just have standards, mate. I know where we should be. We currently ain't.
You won the flipping Prem last season, bro.
That's last season. We're not talking about last season. I wish we potted last season. I'd have enjoyed it.
You won a good game against a good side, and you're here being negative about the team. Like,
I'll always look at this fixture as a match we should win. Sunderland are still a team that haven't been in the Prem for like a decade. I expect 3 points against Sunderland. I'm not like you guys, where I'm gonna put on a light show before the game, get fireworks out afterwards, that kind of stuff, getting gassed over beating Sunderland. That's your man's thing, little man club. We should be beating them anyway. So I'm not getting gassed over it. Okay, we should be beating them. We should be going on runs of games, winning 5 games, and we probably have people not cutting their hair as well, for all I know, because we've been diabolical for most of the year. That was only our second Premier League win this year, by the way. But can I just mention that again? In 2026, that's only our second win. Okay, don't ask me to be gassed over it, but that's only our second win.
I don't want to be gassed, but there are positives to take, my friend.
Yeah, and you're not big enough to have someone do the hair challenge for you guys, but one day. But you had a lot of
this season anyway.
You had a lot of good performances, and just how I fairly said about Gyökeres, I will agree with you. For the first time watching Wirtz, I actually feel like I saw a player. Like, he played really well in this game. And like both sides, I agree with you. He was tracking back defensively. He was trying to get stuck in. He was trying to do stuff, and it was clear that he hasn't quite got the right attack around him to, like, he's not on a wavelength with all of them. Like, he's closer with Ekitike, but you're right. Ekitike was moving a bit bozo-ish in this game. I'm not going to lie. And Wirtz was trying to drag you over the line. So he was a bright spark. I think Konate, hats off, man. He's been arse for most of the season. But in this game, he was against Brobby. And you, man, know how I feel about Brobby. And he did really well against Brobby, man. That's a tough task. Him and Van Dijk both did really, really well. And again, you know, I criticize Van Dijk a lot on this pod, but they both did really, really well. And defensively, you guys stood up to the test. So I think you should be more positive, Khem. I know you want to tank the season because you hate your manager, but this was more something to be, you know, smile about, be cheerful about.
No, because we said this after we beat Villa and Real Madrid. Like, I was supposed to be happy, and then I went to Anfield and lost 3-0, sat there losing 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest, and then had like a 10-game unbeaten run that was just full of draws and shit. So no, I'm not getting gassed because we beat Sunderland away, man. Like, I can't get gassed over this team. It's the same team. It's the same coach who doesn't trust any players, who will play some random at right back, who will probably get hurt, and we rinse and repeat. And I'm glad you watched the game, because you can see, I'm going to be fair here, Gakpo and Salah, both of them do the exact same thing, where they just dribble, cut inside, and smash the ball at the nearest defender, just rebounds off them and goes basically for a counter attack to the other team. Like, Wirtz can't build up any sort of rapport with these guys because they're doing the exact same shit. We can allow Salah because it worked for 8 years, but both of our supposed wide players don't go around the outside or do any winger shit. They just cut in and smash it low ball straight off the guy's shins back to the other team. And I'm so sick of it. Like, one of my friends said Nunez's soul split into 3 Horcruxes, and it's gone to Gakpo, Salah, and like Kirkes or something. And I'm like, man, this is true. Like, the chaos. I'm done with it. Do you know what? We can move on. I'm crashing here.
It looks like one of those. There might be a fourth Horcrux, and it might be in a man that has hair like pot noodle. It might be a TK.
Come on, it's
that bozo gene. There's a bozo gene in him, my friend.
There's a couple of bozo moments, but I think for his first season, he's done well. He's been the best new signing in the season. You can try to run it, but he's balled out this year. So.
I'm gonna try. I'll try. I don't know if I'm gonna succeed, but I'm gonna try.
He has a couple of stupid moments, but I think he's pretty efficient for what we need. It's just, yeah, I think as a whole we've been kind of garbage. You know, he's not missing like the tap-ins like I used to see. I've seen Nunez go around the goalkeeper wide open and still hit the post. Like, people call it the best assist ever because they said he tried to assist Gravenberch by hitting the post. That's how much we clutch with that. But he's also been axed by Al Hilal, by the way. So let's not compare Ekitike to that fool.
Yeah, we're going to amend that because he's probably been the best new striker signing. I think saying one of the best new signings is a stretch. Yeah, but he's been good.
We're going to say that. So, striker signing, very, very low ceiling, as Khem would say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's move on from the Liverpool game.
He has double-digit goals, mate. I don't know about any of the others out there.
I could see those little cogs turning his head as he was trying to things come. Yeah, nice work, mate.
He's trying. But let's move on. Before we get into the previews, obviously, man, this week has been crazy apart from the games. There's been lots of stuff going on. We'll get to Spurs very, very quickly in a bit. Obviously, Thomas Frank got sacked. But before that, shameful moment for Man United as a club. One of our co-owners was speaking at an event which I think had nothing to do with football or anything like that, but decided to make some quite controversial comments and stated that the UK was being colonized by immigrants. I'm not going to go through all of it because I think he's also come through with an apology, or not even apology. It was kind of like, I'm sorry I upset you type stuff, you know. I'm sure Razor will use a girlfriend or girl analogy to back that up. But he basically has kind of tried to cover his ass without really walking back his statements. It looks like our club has come out and said that, you know, we don't, in a soft way, we don't back that, and we're about, inclusion and all these other things, which they obviously have to do, considering 97% of our team are all players who, have come from immigrant backgrounds. But yeah, as the only United fan on here, thanks Nash for not attending. Obviously this is disgraceful. Don't agree with the comments. As many online fans and different people who are critical of Jim Ratcliffe call him a scruff, this was definitely a scruffy moment, and he stinks. Don't agree with the comments. No need for him to say anything. We talked about the fellow with the hair. We're playing all right, and we've got this fellow with the hair, and then we've got our co-owner coming out and saying all this kind of rubbish. Been a rough week. So I don't know how much more any of you guys want to comment on it. I know we don't really talk about politics or anything like that, but yeah, not a great week for Man United as a club to be connected with Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Doesn't he live in Monaco?
Exactly.
So he doesn't.
I was just going to say,
UK. Cool.
Probably.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Was...
Who built the railroads?
He's colonizing France.
The main thing I was just going to say was like, we talked about this early on in the like ownership of Man United, and we were talking about how are they going to have PR strategy, this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to talk about the content of his message because I think enough has been said about that. And yeah, I think he's going to have he and United a fun time now for the next few months and possibly beyond. I'm sure that there'll be some funny chants that will come out about this as well. But one thing about it is like, it's quite clear this guy does not know how to run a football club. It's very, very, very clear to me, right, that this guy has no idea how to run a football club, and particularly not a football club of Man United size, right? And we talked about this before in terms of his PR strategy and how Man United need to control that a bit better. Leaks, care a little bit more about the optics of how things look from the outside. It's very clear to me that there has been no strategy. I think we were trying to put some strategy to him in terms of some things we talked about when it came to, Ashworth, Wilcox, Barada, all of this stuff before. I honestly think he is just shooting from the hip, got no idea what he's doing. And to be honest with you, I would argue that, the Glazers were hideous from a business point of view, and they've rinsed your club for a lot. But I'd argue you might actually have an even worse owner or co-owner. So good luck. That guy's hair, it might get cut once. But my friend, he's going to be growing his hair out frequently every time because your club's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, the Glazer thing, the Glazers are in bed with Trump, and I think a lot of people could guess that Jim Ratcliffe, being a petrochemicals billionaire magnate, that maybe he didn't have the most kind of, didn't have the public's interest at heart, didn't have maybe some of the soundest morals, because you generally can't have all of that to get to that position. But shut the fuck up, please, man. Why are you going out there and saying these things in public? Just please, mate. Just it's not a time for you to go out there and say that kind of stuff, or there's never a time. But yeah, he's had a nightmare, and he got I saw someone really sum it up well. He got the statistical things wrong. He got the general mood and like taking into consideration, is this the right time to say something completely wrong? And then he's come out afterwards and then fake apologied, half-ass apologied it and got that wrong. And then if you look at his running of the club, 99% of that has been wrong. So he's on a real stinky run. And yeah, it's not a good look for us.
Looks bad, especially after sacking Amorim for Carrick as well, and then following it with such comments as well. Follows up. But that's your club, man. That's your team. Man.
I think the problem
Get the immigrants out, starting with our Portuguese Moncler wearing manager.
Yeah, first.
I think it's quite consistent then, isn't it? He got him out of the country, and now he said that he hates immigrants. So it
makes me worried. Like when you made all the redundancies as well. Now I wonder how fair that was back then when they done that with all the dinner ladies and all that.
Allegedly,
they had a shade of colour thing like they did on Family Guy when they
sacked dinner ladies. He don't pay taxes. He's fucking living in Monaco. Like all you have to do is shut up and be rich, you dickhead. Allegedly, or whatever I'm supposed to say. Move on before I say something that gets everyone fired from their day job.
No, bro. This is the killer.
You're in the hat.
No, this is the killer. He also is trying to lobby for public funding for our new stadium. Well done, mate. Good work. I'm sure you're going to go far with that. Absolute.
I thought you were the biggest club. You need public funding. My God. Okay. Right.
Bro. I said he is. Not like this is the strategy. So yeah, he's a bellend. No allegedly needed for that. All right, let's move on to the Spurs segment then. We don't really talk about Spurs on here that much other than to say they're shit, but they took a big L to Newcastle, who've been pretty poor as well. Apparently the fans were booing at half-time and then got even worse at full-time. And Thomas Frank has been sacked. And apparently today as well, they've agreed to bring in Igor Tudor. Yeah. Who I think I remember when we were growing up, he was a Croatian player, innit? And I looked at his record and he's managed 4 clubs or something in like 2.5 years or something. So it's not looking good from that perspective, because I doubt he's been, bouncing from jobs because he got, a bigger salary somewhere else. It was getting fired from all these places. What do you, man, make of this? They're in 17th, I think, right now, or 16th, like 4 or 5 points ahead of the drop zone. I mean, that relegation thing might be real, guys. Are we gonna take it seriously now? Because this is heading only one way.
Given the manager that they've chosen, it's a little real than I was going to give it credit for, because who the fuck is that guy? I looked at his resume. My God, he's been by some absolute dross teams as well. So if he is what they are hoping will keep them up, fuck me, they're in trouble. They need to go over to Marinakis and say, "Mate, can I have your leftovers? Get me my shoe and let's stay up." Because this Don, I don't know how he even got the Juventus job, to be clear, right? And the Juventus is a madhouse as well. So like that's one thing. But he got the Juventus job somehow after getting sacked by bloody Fosse or whoever he got sacked for before that, or Mulder or whoever Solskjaer's old team was. He got sacked by someone's shit. Somehow, accompanied his way into his next, like a big job somehow, got sacked off by them. I have no idea, what's his name? Venkat is our old CEO. That's their new CEO. My guy, have a fucking word with yourself. This guy's going to get you relegated. Your team is already shit. And now you brought in, honestly, the crop of managers at the big teams right now, every single one of us, apart from the Arsenal fans in here, have got an absolute fucking Z-list manager at this point in time. What is going on? Honestly, we've got some of the best, arguably the best players in the world in this league, and the manager crop right now is looking fucking spooky. We have got like FIFA regens or Football Manager regens as all of our managers right now. What the hell is going on?
Yeah. I mean, it was surprising. I thought they were going to bring in Ryan Mason and just, reload that up again until the summer. But I can't work out if this is better than that? I mean,
It's not.
Razor is
It's
it
not.
the same? Just Croatian
It's-
Mason?
If Amarim made Ratcliffe a bit like anti-immigrant, Tudor's gonna have NH putting on some hate crimes, allegedly. Nah, like I can't see. I don't see what the flipping like idea is, and I don't care because it's Spurs and I want them to fail and it's really funny. But it's also, if I forget that it's Spurs for a second, it's quite like it's bang out of order that like you can take something that like means that much to a community and like literally run it that badly into the ground. It's like at least when like American sport franchises tank or whatever, when the Jazz sit their stars in the fourth when they're up, like they're trying to get a draft pick. There ain't no draft picks, bro. You're gonna be in the championship. Like everyone was rinsing like West Ham about having the London Stadium in the championship. You know how crazy it would be to have the fucking Beyonce Stadium in the championship. It's just beggars belief. Like it's just they're not taking it seriously. I think the people who run Spurs, because I think players, and I think if you listen to some of the comments that like Ange made this week as well, I think managers, players, fans, I think they're all like very aware that this is a reality in terms of them getting sacked. And I think the only people that probably think Spurs are too big to fail like that are unfortunately the people that are pulling the fucking strings. But yeah, it's actually mad. It's crazy. I don't think it's better than Ryan Mason. It's different from Ryan Mason.
I think they're in a difficult bit like post Daniel Levy as well, aren't they? Because he bounced during the season, and then he was probably
they fired him.
Yeah, well, that's it. Maybe there's a lot. So the ones pulling the strings, obviously, they're a bit lost, aren't they? They don't really know what they're doing. He was the guy. As much as we criticize him, he would always get a good transfer fee from his sales.
As much as they criticize him, they used to talk about him like he was Lord fucking Voldemort.
Yeah, they did.
How bad things have to be for you to miss Lord Voldemort.
Their wage structure is always a talking point. So yeah, they put themselves on the map just by the Beyoncés and the NFLs and all that stuff. In other I think if they survive, they might get Poch in after the World Cup. He might leave United States team and go back again. Maybe they'll try and run that one back. It won't end well, I don't think. But I hate talking about Spurs because they just don't mean anything to me at all. They're just, I hate it. But the writing was on the wall for Frank. They had to get him out because they hate watching their team play. They're pretty boring and they're not getting any results out of it. And his former team, Brentford, are still doing fine. So it just makes him look really shit. So you kind of have to bin him. But I don't know what they'll do.
I still rate Frank, man. He's been done dirty. He's completely been done dirty in that role. Like the signings they've made. Jonty talked about Z-list managers. I've never understood how Spurs like fans. Like, I understand why they back Maddison. I understand why they back Kulusevski to a certain point. I understand, like, some of the good players they actually have, like, Van der Ven and stuff like that. But if you look around that, it's mostly either kindergarten stuff, youngsters, or absolute shite. There's no decent... all of our squads have got your better players and then you've got your youngsters and then you've got this like chunk of players in there where they're either rotation or they're like your starting 11, but they're solid players that you're expecting 6 and 7s out of 10 every week. They don't have those. They've got Bentancur and, fucking Ben Davies and all of these other guys in there that are they're not the people. That are going to get the team to the position that they want. And if you don't even give Frank enough time, I know the football was terrible and they were getting really bad results. So I understand where the sackings come from to a certain extent, but he's just a fall guy. They've mismanaged that club horrendously and he's got completely screwed by it.
Yeah, it's a poison chalice, and I would say, I mean, they probably belong in the Championship because their transfer strategy has basically been a Championship team's transfer strategy over the last so many years. Anyway, I think that their signings will actually. No, but they'll. I mean, Solanke, that has. I'll be honest with you. I know he's a good player now, but come on, a year ago that was a Championship signing.
I think he's bogus, but they threw 60 million at him, and same with Richarlison.
Oh no, this is what I mean. Like they overpay for people who are rich. And they buy people that like newly promoted teams should be buying, not top big old Tottenham should be buying. So, I mean, they probably belong in the Championship. And the other good thing is that they'll get some parachute payments as well. So maybe they'll do all right. They can sign a couple more players. But honestly, it's a woeful team, and I do really feel sorry for Frank because he is a good manager, and I'm not going to judge him off the back of Tottenham because I mean, how many managers can we say actually have done half decently there? We've had like Hall of Fame managers like Mourinho go there and look good, and so
his attention to detail. His attention to detail has been rubbish because he couldn't even see what cup he was sipping out of the other day that had Arsenal in. So he would have been missing a lot.
But have you not heard some of the stories coming out of the Athletic and whatever else? So apparently that was one of the things that rubbed people up the wrong way, is that he's using Arsenal as like his example of like good things. So he's saying like, this is what we want to aim for, and talking about Arsenal as being the team that aims.
He's a silver member.
We play and now we do something exactly.
Ooh,
so I mean, he's not wrong, but yeah,
it's not a bad thing to talk about a team that moved into a new ground, tried to run sustainably and work their way up, etc. That's not bad, but we can't be walking around with merchandise like that. How do you not notice that?
I think you're giving him too much credit, man. I think, like, as much as I agree with you, I still think Thomas Frank is a good manager. I do agree with you that Tottenham is a graveyard for your career. But also, like, Thomas Frank's been in the Prem. He should know what he was looking at. He should know, like, what Solanke was like. Is Solanke their record signing?
Yeah, he's up there.
They have had a lot of injuries as well.
They've had a lot of injuries. Madison's been injured.
It has been difficult for him to sort of work from, and particularly where they finished last year. I do think he kind of would, but we say this all the time, but he definitely needed more time to work with that squad. And I just think the type of players they're buying is a testament to the way football's going now, even with big clubs. They're not signing players that can take you to the next level, really. They're signing players that they can invest in for the future, not just to sell on, just like to make them. So I just think top clubs are cutting corners as well. And I think it's just a reflection in certain teams' transfer strategies, like, because you can't expect Frank to come in and work wonders based off the season they had and the sort of signings they've got. Kolo Muani hasn't worked. Solanke's been injured. Madison's been out. Kulusevski was their best player. Haven't got him. Romero seems like he just doesn't want to play for them at all. Jed Spence won't even shake his hand. So it's like it's hard to like, yeah. You can't. I wouldn't really put the blame on sort of Frank, but I think it's just the case of all the sort of poor decision making from the top down is catching up with them now, and it's just I don't know where they're going with this new manager.
Ange said it. Ange said it in his overlap interview. These men do not operate like a big club, and that was just hilarious timing that all came together at the same time, right? Frank's out, and then Ange comes out, and there's an episode released.
He also played
his team's a madness.
He played a
no, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not Ange's biggest fan, and I'm sure he will rant a little bit later about his feelings on Ange and how the media kind of made him out to be some god. But yeah, I mean, like, if coming out and saying, "Well, we want to take you to the next level. You're going to buy me one good player, and then the other lot are going to be a bunch of kids." Like, look at their signings. Like, Xavi Simons is probably what? The best of recently. I know Kudus is a good player still, but obviously injury on that one. Then outside of that, they got João Paulinho on loan. They've got Conor Gallagher. Is he on loan as well? Potentially. They've got like some Don called Souza. And so Dragusin. This is what we're talking about in terms of the level. Like that, those are mid-table, lower mid-table signings. Supposed to be a big team. And the funniest thing is, like you said, Khem, they're spending like good money on these players. Like, they are spending like a big club spends. And if you look at their spend the last many years, it's close to all the rest of us. And yet, look at their team. Their team is woeful.
Yeah, it's been a shocker from all of them. But I do agree. Like, Frank's obviously made mistakes. He's part of this shite show, but obviously he's the one who's going to be the fall guy. And I feel like it's a bit unfair because if you proportion out the blame, he's not the main person to blame, in my perspective anyway. And he'll go out there and he'll get a decent job and he'll do something with kind of a mid-level team. He may get another crack at a bigger club, but yeah, man, we may see Leeds 2.0 with Spurs this season, because when Leeds went down originally, no one could believe it as well. And I swear they were down there for like a decade or more, trying to struggle to get back up. So, yeah, Razor's doing the old Ronaldinho gif. But yeah, we'll move on past Spurs. We've obviously talked about the FA Cup game, so we won't go over that again. We talked about it in the last pod. Chelsea already through. Arsenal, Liverpool to come up over the weekend as well. But we'll preview the only Prem game next week in the midweek. So it's Wolves against Arsenal. But before we do, I'll go through the prediction league for the updates. So we've got a change in the table. So Rhys is now first, 89 points and 15 correct scores. Khem has dropped down to second. Convenient off camera there. 88 points and 15 correct scores. Exactly. Always a bridesmaid. Liverpool were there before you lot, so don't let him cuss you about that. Jonty in third, 87 points and 13 correct scores. Io is in fourth with 79 points and 10 correct scores. Razor is fifth on the same amount of points, 79 points and 9 correct scores. I'm in sixth with 77 points and 7 correct scores. And Nash is where Nash is. I'm not allowed to talk about that. All right, Rhys, Wolves, Arsenal. What's your prediction in this one?
All right, it feels good to be back, man. I wasn't gone too long. I hope you kept my seat warm, Khem. I appreciate that. But yeah. Anyway, I've gone 3. I think I went 3-0 Arsenal. Wolves are terrible. Although they defend a bit better. We breached them 4 times. So if we can do it, you can do it.
Fuck.
I have faith in you. And shout out to Brentford and Arsenal for my correct score and pulling me back to the top. I appreciate both of you guys, both of your teams. Well, yeah, So, yeah, long may it continue. Correct scores all the way. Johns, you better not have copied me this week. I swear.
I don't want to ruin it, but we'll get there in a minute. Khem, what's your prediction in this one? Wolves, Arsenal.
3-1 to Arsenal. Good opportunity for Saka to get a goal or assist as well.
Yeah, for context, in the background, the group chat, there's some fishing and trolling going on around Bukayo. Johns, what's your prediction on this one? Wolves, Arsenal.
Unfortunately, something fishy is going on because I also predicted 3-0 Arsenal. So fuck you, yeah, hopefully I get one up on Khem. And, I'll join you at the top.
Yeah, that's a title race battle, isn't it? You three. So as of streaming, I still haven't got a score prediction in from the tall guy, as he's known by a few different people. Io, if you're watching this, you might want to send it through. You can still salvage this.
Speed up. Let's get through the prediction. Come on, who's next?
Yeah, no tic tacs, no.
Yeah, why
again?
we're
on the stream. We're on the stream, broski. We're on the stream. Announcing the stream is a tic tac. There's nothing you can do about it. Relax yourself.
As well, yeah.
I know.
There's a pin message.
Razor. I know. Stinks. Razor, what's your prediction in this one? Wolves, Arsenal.
Khem copied me because he wants to be like me. 3-1 to the Arsenal.
We're just best friends and we're in sync.
Shut up, you prick. Shut up, you mug.
All right, 3-1. I've gone 2-0 Arsenal. See, I was thinking more goals, but Wolves throw in these games every now and again where they actually, just like Rhys said, they pulled themselves together and they actually play decently. And I'll say it again, that boy Mane is a player. In every game I've watched of them, he's generally always their best player. He's not going to be there long. There's absolutely no way he's playing the Championship next season. But yeah, he's good. So I think Wolves will get beaten in the end, but I don't think it'll be an absolute drop-in. But, I'm not really someone to be listened to in the prediction league is talked about. But Nash did send it through. He's gone 3-1. So we've got 2 3-0s, 3 3-1s, a 2-0, and a prediction pending. Yeah, blank right now. But yeah, all right. That we'll wrap up the pod here. We've obviously got the FA Cup games. We'll be back after the FA Cup games and after the Arsenal Wolves game to review that and look ahead to the weekend, which will be the North London derby, Arsenal Spurs. So yeah, big couple of weeks to come, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.